各位观众，大家好，欢迎收看邓洪说法节目，我是美国联邦律师邓洪，让我们知法守法，据理力争。当然，因为选举很快就要到来了，并且我们加州选民已经收到了通讯投票为了让大家更了解各方面的候选人我想的话，我会陆续推出一系列跟在我们华人社区关系比较密切的这些候选人，我请他们上我们的节目，一方面了解他们的背景，同样的话让他们陈述他将来的政见，并且最重要的话，我也是会问这些候选人，因为他当选之后怎么样子能够代表我们华裔的选民，确保的话这个民选官员不是我们不会出卖我们的利益。当然的话，今天我想请到的话就是竞选第28选区的这个国会议员。28选区，这是2年前重新划出来的选区。这个选区的话，里边可以说是有40%选民是 Asian， 在 Asian 之中80%都是我们华人。因为它的选区包括了华人密集的，我们可以看得出，从 Alhambra 开始 ，Monterey Park、Alhambra、Temple City、Rosemead、San Gabriel、San Marino、South Pasadena， 然后到了 Arcadia， 然后再往 Mountain 那边走，然后的话包括了还有 San Bernardino 一个部分 ，San Antonio High 这个部分 ，Claremont 这个地方。但是大部分的选民都是集中在这个我们的这个 San Gabriel 区这个部分里边的华人非常非常多，每一个国会选区大概有70万人而这个选区里边的话，基本上有这个40%以上，40%的民众是 Asian 以后估计里边的话有近这个30万是我们 Asian 的但是选民的话，我们华人还明显落后，所以为什么这个有很多符合资格成为公民的没有申请公民，成为公民之后没有登记成为选民这个很重要，所以为什么我们要发出声音，我们一定要登记成为选民当然现在的话10月21号是加州选民的截止日期，如果你还是没有登记的话，你还是可以尽量的去登记登记成为选民。当然了，最重要一点的话，在28选区里边的话很重要，我们华人非常多但是在2年前刚刚选区划出来的时候这位这个空军的飞行员 West Hall 出来挑战但是没有当选，就是因为他遇到的话这个对手是从1996年开始当选加州这个代表我们区的赵美心赵美心从1996年成为这位我们这个选区从2009年6月份他当选之后他一直就霸住这个位置，因为他自己也是成为美国有史以来历史上第一位华裔的这个国会议员。当然这个部分里边你可以看得出这个挑战没有成功，就是因为赵美心他自己这个以华裔面孔以后一定要华人投票但是他的真正利益在这个2017年这个在他当时一个选区是27选区的时候3年前我就做过个民调，他现在推动的政策你觉得是代表我们民意的吗？91%的华人都认为赵美心这种推动左派执着的政策完全是这个不符合我们华人利益的。在3个星期以前，我在这个爱报道里边的话，也特别揭露了华左政客的内幕，指的东西的话，就是这些上流人士做尽了下流的事情这个行为里边的话，其中提到的话就是赵美心出卖我们社区利益的这种各种恶行。当然这个赵美心 他之前他是非常好的这个也做了很多努力并且他成立了一个亚裔青少年中心，我在这个非营利机构帮助这些这个弱势团体小孩子参加帮派吸毒问题这些的小孩子脱离帮派远离毒品呢这方面呢做了很多努力，我自己也在这个组织这个义务做义工做理事做会长做了20多年，但是在过去10年的话赵美心已经拓变了。首先你可以看得出，在2016年的时候，洛杉矶时报在他当选国会议员大概有8年的时候，他做了一个调查，他跟他的先生吴国庆2个人的收入，律师费的收入再加上所有的收入加起来的话，在2016年他是180万但是他房子还有150万的房贷还没有付清楚没有付清。但是的话，后来你可以看得出到了2018年，他的身价马上涨到了700多万。那是在2018年的时候，你再看一下子的话，现在的身价的话，基本上已经接近了1000万。国会议员的薪水是这个18万。18万，他先生他基本上的话做这个水举的这方面的话也是10来万这个部分，但是的话能在这几年之内，尤其是在当时在2016年他只有200万的薪价，然后现在在这个10年之内这个你可以看得出突涨了，报了1000万。他投资有方吗？或者是不是你可以看得出，从2013年开始的话，他这个一直在涨，涨到现在里边的话，他已经靠近了这个943万，靠近了1000万。他是我们国会议员，因为他懂得什么理财的话，他应该教我们选民怎么样子来理财。他自己现在薪价的话是近1000万的薪价。一个国会议员的话，他也是这个像 Nancy Pelosi 一样的哈他的先生都是这个很快的是在Visa 卡被离司法部起诉之前，他就可以运气非常好，将他手上的 Visa 的股票全部抛售出去。大家看清楚了没有？这是民主党生财之道。我们普通的民众现在因为通货膨胀还担心的话买这个菜要30而行，但是我们的民选官员的话，他为什么继续愿意要保住他的工作，有那么好的收入？虽然是表面上的是18万，但是他生财有道，以后的话现在也成完千万富翁了。但是他真正后面支持的人，你可以看得出他是这个筹款的记录，有1半以上的话都是来自工会，有另外1半以上的话是来自这个医生。这医生是心甘情愿投票给他们，捐钱给他们。医生很难做，但是的话，医疗网医院说赵美心是我们的人，你要支持他。这些医院里边的话，这个掌控医生的命运，如果你不听从医院的指示的话，那这医生你的 privilege 我就可以不要你在我们这个医院。在我们 San Gabriel Valley 里边的话，这个医疗集团掌控了所有的医院。你一个华人的医生，你不能够得罪这个医院，否则的话，你根本没有办法经营。这个医生命下之后，赵美心是我们自己人的话，那他们不得不含泪的捐款。我好几个医生朋友都是这样子。以后所以你可以看得出，赵美心之所以能够成为千万富翁，他是就是他管生财有道，但是问题是牺牲的是我们自己的利益。所以为什么我今天的话请来 April 来讨论了他的政见为什么参政。他说在这个8年多前，他就是因为亚凯迪里边很多乡家受很多的政府的不公平待遇，他希望能够代表市民的利益出来竞选。他是一个非常成功的律师，他爸爸就是律师，他家里边经营律师事务所也做得非常好。他跟我的说我们都没有这个我们已经够聪明了，但是的话投资方面真的不如赵美心因为赵美心虽然的话他没有工作过1天都是在从事政治，但是的话他 他生财有道的。当然我们两个讨论了很多这个就是为什么从政，他说他希望的话是能够减少商家的经营成本，从中餐馆到一般的小商家现在都是在加州万岁的情况之下不得不要停业这个保险费太贵了，劳工成本太贵了诉讼太多了，所以大家都不愿意做生意，在不愿意做生意的情况之下，越来越多的人没有工作，这种的话他希望能够减少这个税，能够这个不要乱花钱，以后并且他对非法移民方面的话我们也谈了很多，就是加州现在游民问题就是因为这个越来越多的这个我们的政府来吸引这些游民非法移民到了加州，而游民问题真正要解决的话就是不是说这个现在我们要犯罪除罪化，我们也提到犯罪除罪化的话，这些犯人关到里边去没有一技之长，出来之后找不到工作还是继续犯罪，以后很多犯罪是因为毒品问题，而这些毒品的人的话他现在政府放任自由，然后我们两个都同时主张的话要用 carrot 跟 stick， 要用硬的软硬兼施，硬的如果你不去戒毒坐牢，然后一个是软的你戒毒成功我帮助你重新站起来，给你就业机会，所以这些都是要解决方法的问题的方法，从现实出发。当然的话赵美心她这方面的话她只在乎妇女堕胎权，她只在乎各种各样的极左派的这个议程跟我们华人社区完全是脱节了。也是因为赵美心我5年前就从民主党脱离成为共和党，也因为赵美心这种出卖社区的利益，我呼吁所有的人，如果是这些华人候选人得到赵美心支持的，我们都要向这个赵美心机器 say no， 都要反对这些赵美心支持的候选人。 April 也跟我讲了的小故事，他说他有一位华裔的民选官员支持他，然后赵美心逼的，他说你不能够支持这个April， 因为我是华人，你必须要支持我。他觉得很惊讶，为什么？因为赵美心这种霸道行为没有人敢挑战，他也感觉到的话因为在华人社区赵美心的影响力实在太大了，他感觉到的话我们美国这个真的是要强大起来，真的是让民众不能够看肤色投票，应该是要看政策。而赵美心这种霸道行为的话以后并且培养了一群都是出卖利益社区利益的这些政客，他觉得自己是非常无助。然后同样的这个当年 West 的话竞选的时候，他也同样的说赵美心都那么左，为什么你们华人还要支持他？所以为什么我说其实我们华人社区有很多跟你一样是看不惯赵美心这个霸道霸权，以后我们一定要打破这种独裁，所以挑战赵美心机器，挑战赵美心集团出卖我们社区利益的。所以我说你是不是一个人单枪匹马而已，我们有刘龙珠律师，有陈立德，有方文思有很多这种志同道合的共和党人士，我们也有很多这些华人的精英在支持你。所以同样的我呼吁大家有机会的话能够听我用英文采访跟 April 的一些谈话以后让大家更加了解 April 的背景，更加了解 April 的政见，更重要一点的话，我们要用我们的选票来支持像 April 这样的一个共和党保守派的候选人。谢谢大家的收看。
Camera.
All right. Today we have it's truly an honor to have April to come to our show. April has served in the city as a city council member, and I believe also April you served as a mayor one time, right? At the city of Arcadia. Yeah, and also she's a very reputable attorney. And today I'm inviting her for our show because our election is coming up and many people have received the ballot already. April 5th, that's very important. And many people have encouraged me and have given me information about what's the choices we have, especially in the congressional level. And April is running as a congressional candidate. April, can you say hi to our viewers?
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for having me here. I appreciate this opportunity.
Yeah, April is actually running against a famous Chinese elected official, Judy Chu. Maybe we could, as we know that, 28th district, congressional district was restricted 2 years ago. They redesigned it, and this district had, we always say in the congressional level, it's the largest Asian American residents in this district. Some of the city, I think, we all know, Rancho Cucamonga, Pasadena, those are on the east side, but at the same time, look at the San Gabriel Valley area. Alhambra will have 82,000 residents. Montreal Park will have 59,000. Arcadia, which April served as a mayor and also city council, have 56,000 residents. Rosemead, 51,000. St. Gabriel's 39,000. Temple City, 36,000. South Pasadena, San Marino, Sierra Madre, and all this huge population, probably around 700,000 residents, and among them, close to 40% are Asians populations in this district. April, I know that you're doing well as a lawyer. Why you start? Share with us why you want to go into politics.
Oh, it became one of those things where I was becoming more and more involved with the city. I was volunteering. I created an improvement association for the downtown Arcadia area where me and my husband, we own the property there where I have my office. And so when you become invested in an area, you become more involved in what's happening at the city council level, because like everybody else, right, it affects my quality of life. It affects my property values. I want to make sure that the city is well run and that we have good people on city council. So with that, I became more involved. And then, there was an issue with development in the city of Arcadia. And my neighbors came to me and asked, basically they said, we don't feel like we're being represented on city council, and we want our voices to be heard. And we think that you can be that vessel, that person that can be the voice of the residents.
Yes, I know that you're also endorsed by Peter. Peter is and also had contributed a lot for the city of Arcadia. And I believe right now there's a huge population of Chinese living in Arcadia. I think a lot of people think that Arcadia is the best place to live. I think as how many years have you served in the city council in Arcadia?
So I've been on city council now since April of 2016. So just about, 8.5 years.
Yeah, yes. 8.5 years. What do you think that you have accomplished that make you think that this stand out, make you think that you should take pride in?
The biggest thing is going to be the budget. That was one of my number one priorities. People all thought that, I was anti-development, or that was what I was all about. But it really was about providing Arcadia with a very strong budget so that they can handle any kind of market fluctuations and any kind of recessions, because that's the most important thing when it comes to providing services to its residents. If we have any kind of problem and revenues are short, we look to cutting our police and cutting our fire when we don't have enough revenues coming in. So you want to make sure that you always have a good, healthy, strong budget. And then, for the city of Arcadia, we have one of the largest unfunded pension liabilities in the San Gabriel Valley. And that's always been a problem that has plagued us. And then it ended up leading to us in the city of Arcadia having to increase our sales tax in order to be able to pay down some of that debt so that we could better manage our resources here in Arcadia.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very concern because many of residents, they're business owner, they know that they have to balance the checkbook, and you know, you don't want to pay spend the money that you don't have, or that your next generation or your kids need to pay for it. I mean, that's the reason I'm talking to some of the people who voice concern is that, you know, why the city give 20% or more than that to the first respondent, and because you know, that's, you know, when everybody's asking money and the city is just like, everybody love to be a Santa Claus, want to give out candies. But the problem is that, do you have enough candy?
Well, and I think the bigger concern is, you know, you want to have expenses that fit within your revenues. And when you start to adopt expenses that exceed your revenues, in a very strong economic period, right? Right now, the city of Arcadia is doing very well. Our revenues are up. Okay, if our expenses are so much in a time when we're seeing record revenues, what's going to happen when the market starts to retract and we're not bringing in as much sales tax? And one of my biggest concerns right now is we're already seeing in our first quarter of this fiscal year less sales tax revenues. So it's already starting, and you've got your biggest indicator out of Sacramento, right?
Yes.
They are now the poster child for how to do bad budgeting. There's $68 billion in debt. That does not happen by accident. That is people up there in Sacramento voting for programs and expenses that the state cannot afford. And that, so to me, the biggest responsibility of a city council member is to make sure that we're staying within budget.
I think you had done a wonderful job in terms of, you know, not letting the city, you know, go bankrupt. I know that there's a lot of cities that have to, because if they have their own fire department, own police department, and many of the residents had to pay extra in terms of property tax and, you know, or they had to issue bond, things like that. I think Arcadia, luckily, with your talent, I think was able to, you know, balance the budget. But at the same time, you know, I mean, look at what is happening in the Congress. When we talk about, you know, balancing the budget, and I know that, you know, Judy Chu, this is her voting record. It seems that, you know, she wants to spend all the money that we don't have. And that's the problem. And I think that's the reason, you know, there's a major difference between a Republican and Democrat. And Democrat, they like to issue and spend all the money that we don't have. But as a Republican, many of the business owners, just like Donald Trump and, you know, J.D. Vance, they have business sense. They want to, you know, create job. They want to create money at the same time. They want to have government efficiency. I mean, is that why you motivated to challenge Judy Chu?
You know, I mean, I had my neighbors coming to me saying, you know, they didn't feel like Judy Chu represented their voice, that she didn't share their values. And I see it all the time. You know, I hear from my neighbors that, you know, their biggest concerns are public safety, border security, homelessness, and the cost of living. And yet Judy Chu talks about, you know, abortion rights, Medicare for all, which is just a big expense that we really can't afford, and gun control. And again, my constituents, I mean, there are a lot of them are, you know, owners of guns. They like their Second Amendment rights. And here's this representative who isn't really their voice, isn't really talking for them or, you know, representing them.
Well, I think a couple of weeks ago, I was been on another YouTube channel. My friend Ethan and Felicia, we talk about some of the issues that our residents in San Gabriel Valley, especially on the 28th district, we talk about some of the things that, you know, about our children's, because many people buy into an expensive home in San Marino, Arcadia, because they get the best school district, because they want the best for their education for their kids. And June 29th, 9 last year, Supreme Court rendered a major decision. That's a victory for our children, for Asians family, because the Supreme Court decided that Harvard, they should not discriminate Asian descent when they are making the decision for admission. This is a major hurdle, a major victory for our kids, because we encourage our kids to study well and you'll be successful. You could realize the American dream. You could get to Harvard and all this Ivy League if you work hard and volunteer and do everything. But because the progressive agenda, all the Ivy League and even UC system, they have a quota. And Asian are being model minority, they are excluded, especially they're being discriminated when they apply for college. This is a major victory for our community. The civil rights organization fought very hard, and the Supreme Court justice, they rendered a decision that, during a college admission, nobody should be discriminated based on their color of the skin. This is a major decision, but lo and behold, Judy Chu, she's the one who coming out at CNN and all the media and criticizing Supreme Court. We do not know what's going on. We saw that, and all the mainstream saw that, hey, this is a major decision for you guys. How come Judy Chu, who's representing the Asian community, who's come out and then criticizing Supreme Court for making a decision that could benefit our children? Right. I mean, that's the reason, we do not know what is going on. I mean, that's the reason, let me show you the post, let me, this is, I have not shared with April, and do you see it, at that time, do you think the Congresswoman Judy Chu's progressive agenda represented the view of Chinese American living at the 27th Assembly District, Congressional District? That was, at that time, was 27, but now it's 28. And only 9% people support it. Yeah. And 91% of the people opposing Judy Chu. Right. I mean, that's something that you could see that, in our community, the whole idea for us to have 2 years election for a congressional seat is that we don't have to put up with this representative for 4 years. If they do a bad job, we could get them out in 2 years.
That's right. And that's, they're supposed to be held accountable this way. This is exactly what America and our republic stands for, is a representative government that really does represent the voice of its constituents. And we should be looking at Judy Chu's voting record and making sure that it does align with our values. Yeah. And before we cast a vote, look to see, who the candidates are and where they stand on these issues, and make sure that these are the important issues to you.
Yeah. I mean, those are kind of things that, you could see all the things he's voting for, and, she's against, national defense. I remember Wes Harman came in our program 2 years ago. I said, hey, you're a Top Gun, you're a pilot. Why are you coming out and voting against it? But look at what is Judy Chu had done to our defense industry. They would not keeping funding for our military. Right. She had to get the worst record, but she would rather have all the things for the DEI program, for diversity, so-called. They make sure all the government agency, including military, have a DEI. And so she would.
Also, what was very telling is when she voted against the funding package that was for Taiwan as well as Israel and Ukraine.
Yeah. And all that, and and those kind of things that you could see she doesn't really truly represent the view of our people. But the problem, I think, people start getting to know her record, and then I think there's two things that I always encourage people to look at it. Who supported, who funding their campaign. Look at and how did she make money. And you could see on all that, you could see that, major funding are coming from the hospital group and the union. Why? Because
she's the biggest supporter for, there's a medical group in Chinese community who had the monopoly power, who own all the Chinese, own all the hospital in the Western Gateway Valley.
Mhm.
And she's the one who getting major support from all that medical group.
Yeah.
And look at all the issue that she had been standing on, and also look at where the money she's making. At 2018, when she's in the city on the Congress, only for 6 years, she already accumulated $7 million. Now, she and her husband both work in the government industry. They have over $10 million. And
Yeah.
according to her, she's a smart investor. I would like her to share her secret with our
Right?
viewer.
I need those secrets. I could use those secrets.
So yeah, I mean, that's something that, she doesn't. April, you and I both lawyer.
Yes.
We pay our due. We went to undergrad. We spent 3 years getting our JD degree, and we had to work so hard to pass the bar.
Yeah.
You and I are pretty smart, but I don't think that we've made that kind of money.
No, I can't make that kind of money working as a lawyer, doing, just regular lawyer stuff.
That is why our regular people, our neighbors, they have a hard time keeping up to pay their kids' tuition.
Yes.
With
Yes.
hard
I mean,
time
it's-
keeping up their, to raise money to beat the inflation.
Right.
But how come our elected official, like Judy Chu, like Nancy Pelosi, is so clever in investing and then become billionaire or millionaire?
Yes.
But
I
our
know how they do
people
it.
are struggling to deal with all the inflation issues. Now, there is an issue that you want to do is to help the small business. I think one of the things that you want to do is to revitalize and then helping to give the business
We need to re-incentivize our businesses here in the state of California. I mean, they are leaving California for a reason.
Yeah.
And we are seeing, less and less people who are working here because the jobs aren't good here. They're all going somewhere else. So the workers are following the jobs.
Yes.
And so we're losing people. We are literally losing, we lost a congressional seat for a reason because people are now leaving California. That's a signal. That's a sign that we need to change course because the direction we're going is the wrong direction. When we are literally driving people out of the state of California, we're going the wrong way.
Well, I think one of the things that, it was cracked me up is that, Kamala Harris saying that, we're going to give $50,000 to all the startup business owner. I get an idea. I have gonna encourage my brother and my sister and everybody set up a company. They will get $50,000.
Right? No. It goes back to during COVID when they were just giving money away with no kind of filter or any kind of requirement. And we saw a lot of abuse, especially here in the state of California. Look what happened with EDD, and they gave away, how much did it end up being? Like $20 billion to people who are in prison?
Yeah.
I mean, ridiculous.
Yeah.
How in the world we didn't have a better system to make sure that this money was going to people in need and not people in jail? I don't know.
Well, I think that's something that we need somebody who's smart, who could keep an eye for our taxpayer money, make sure every dime we spend is spending on the person who really need our help. And I think, and also lessen the regulations on the business and lessen the burden and less, and less tax. Look at all the regulations that small business owners are struggling.
Yes.
Right now, we have seen a lot of things that we do not want, that discourage people to do business in California. I think it's important that, we help the small business owner help them to cut down the cost of insurance, cut down the cost of running a business, and cut down on the lawsuit. Because right now, a lot of people are being sued, and then and the Democrat, they encourage, they give all the rights, to all the people. I mean, I was shocked, and then one of my eviction attorney friends tell me that now the eviction take forever, and believe it or not, April, I do community defense when the people could not afford a lawyer, and the government would provide public defender to help the people who could not afford a lawyer. But now in Los Angeles County, for the evictions, automatically the court assigned and our county provided a defense lawyer for the tenants. And they drag on forever because they don't want, in their mind is that, hey, the landlord should not kick out the tenant even though they don't pay. But the problem, they did not realize that the landlord also need to pay mortgage. They need to pay property tax. They need to pay insurance.
Yes, I'm the landlord. We bought rental properties. My family's done it. I mean, it's one of the greatest ways to have generational wealth in the state of California. And again, this is something that Asian Americans coming to California have utilized. It's Hispanic community it sees no color when you invest in real estate. And again, during COVID, we saw this where not only were they giving people money during COVID to stay at home, right? You could stay at home and collect EDD. And then they passed laws to prevent evictions, but then didn't make any requirements whatsoever that these people be paying rent with the EDD money that they're getting. And they just put it all, the burden was on the landlord. The burden was on any property owner that they were the ones responsible now. And to me, that was not fair at all.
We pay so much tax to resolve the homeless issue. I think one of the things that you want to do on a national level is to have a compassion and comprehensive approach to solving it. And what can you explain to me? What do you think that we could help to solving the homeless problem?
Right, and I talk about this a lot, and I'm very passionate about it. I've been following this and doing a lot of research and studying about this issue. Of course, it's definitely a byproduct. Our increase in homelessness in the state of California is definitely a byproduct of the laws that are coming out of Sacramento. It's a byproduct of Prop 47 and Prop 57 and AB 109. And the state trying to tell us all the time that it's a housing crisis. It's because we're not building enough housing. That is one component of it. Because definitely that with all the regulations that we have, we are not building enough housing. But the other component of this is we took a population that used to be housed in our prisons and jails, and we said they're no longer committing crimes. And so we put them out on the streets and didn't provide any resources or tools to help these people be productive citizens, to be able to, afford rent, hold a job. A lot of them, it was all the drug-related crimes. And so now what you see is an increase in what it used to be is the number one cause of death for homeless used to be cardiac arrest or cardiovascular, right? It used to be heart trouble or heart attacks. Now, fentanyl, number one cause of death among homeless. And that started in about 2020 with drugs. It went from methamphetamine to fentanyl in about 2022. So to me, the data is there to show us that our problem is an increase in drug use and an increase in people who are using drugs not having someplace to go, not having the help that they need. So I definitely want to see us invest more in drug and alcohol treatment centers, mental health facilities. We need to improve the system all around. We need a homelessness court. We need a way, because just putting people in jail isn't going to fix their drug problems. We figured that out before, and we used to have drug court. and people used to go to rehab instead of jail. And there used to be options for them. But when we said we no longer are going to put people in jail because of drug-related offenses, that basically eliminated any incentive to do drug court or to have that option of doing drug rehab or a treatment facility in lieu of jail. So to me, we need to bring back some element of, giving people options and being more heavy-handed. I'm definitely one of those. I'm a parent who said, when I had kids growing up and I would offer them, hey, for dinner, do you want broccoli or chocolate cake? The kids are going to choose chocolate cake every time. You have to give them choices that are healthy choices, broccoli or carrots. And the same goes for our unhoused community. Right now we are offering them broccoli or chocolate cake. It's basically, do you want to go to jail or do you want to sleep on the streets? And they're picking to sleep on the streets and continue to use drugs. I mean, it's just, that's the core problem with drug use is people will use drugs even when it's killing them. And for me, I can't stand to continue to watch this progress and get worse in California. And
I think we're all fed up with that. At the same time, look at what Governor Newsom and the Democrats are doing. As April mentioned it, because there's so many people, we need to use a carrot and stick. If you go through the rehab program and kick the drug habit and addiction, we give you a virtue. At the same time, if you are not going through that, we give you the stick. We lock you up. And so that you will not commit a crime and force you to go through rehab. But the problem is that, the people who've been through jail, there's a revolving door. If they go inside, right now, Governor Newsom just 2 weeks ago signed into a law. They prohibit the prison working there. You could not force them to work. So all the people who lock up in the prison, they could watch TV and play basketball in jail all the time. But if you want them to start learning how to work and learning the work ethic or doing laundry and cooking, things like that, you cannot do that. This is a slavery, and that's the concept they have. This policy is so wrong. I mean, that's the reason you have in other countries, the resistance rate is less than 10%, but now the resistance rate in California is 65%. 65% of people who in the system,
high recidivism rate.
And we go back because they did not learn anything. There is no job skill. When they come out, they cannot find job because they do not know how to work because they've been in system for too long. So I think those kind of things that I think we have to have some common sense to carry out the policy. I think what April could do is bring in the common senses back to DC and make senses. Propose some policy that would really solving the problem. It's not catering to the union and not catering to special interest group. And one of the reasons that we have a huge population of the homeless people is that we're providing all the benefit for homeless and for the illegal. We become a safe havens. For all the illegals. Look at it. The illegal, they could getting all the health care. Illegal, they can, their college, they could get scholarship and student loan. And even Mike Fong, who's representing part of the 28th district, he's an assemblyman, 49th district, and he proposed that all the job, on-campus job, Cal State, UC, and community college should be open to all illegals. Even though our children, when they have a hard time getting an on-campus job, and even though it's against the federal law that if you're illegal you cannot work, but and all this Democratic politician, they're the one who proposed all that. It does not make sense. They're not really putting our residents, our citizens first. They're putting our citizens and voters at last. I mean, that's also
so wrong, because we vote them so that they could represent our interests. They're not a watchdog, but they're selling us out. And then now they're coming back and lying to us. I mean, that's the reason, for all these people, all the candidates, many people ask me, it's Daniel, how you vote on the city council and all that. They said, you know what? Whoever endorsed by Judy Chu my phone, they're not a good candidate because they lack of judgment. Because if they're willing to vote getting endorsement from those people who are cheating our community, then they should stay away. They should come out and tell them, Judy, you cannot do that to our community. If they're not that kind of person who stand up against Judy Chu and my phone when their policy are wrong, then they have a problem with the judgment.
Yes,
They might be a good candidate.
And it goes both ways, but you also want to check to see which of your council members are endorsing Judy Chu. But I know Judy Chu is very heavy-handed. She has been putting a lot of pressure on electeds. I'm sure people don't realize this, but even like my friends who are endorsing me, Judy has called and harassed them into endorsing her because they say, how can you do this? How can you do this to a Chinese woman? You're Chinese. You need to endorse me because you're Chinese, and I will make your life, very difficult if you don't endorse me. I mean, she really lays it into them. And my friends were very surprised. They thought like they were endorsing me because they really feel like my values align with theirs and their constituents. And I can't tell you how many people have gotten so much backlash and have turned around and endorsed Judy because they're so afraid of her. Because I don't understand. Like, I try to tell them stand up to her, but they're really afraid of her.
Well, I mean, I don't blame you because I know Judy very well. When she first ran city council member and when she first run assemblyman, I was a reporter. I was the one who actually translated her literature into Chinese. I advocate for her. And when I become a lawyer, I volunteer for organization that was set up by Judy Chu, Asian Youth Center. I served there for 20 years as a board member, as a former president. But for the last 10 years, she had changed. I have not changed. I think I still feel passionate at serving our community. But at the same time, she needs to keep her job. Once she get elected and working in DC, she become part of the swamp. She does not care about our community anymore. I care. But at the same time, that's the reason I changed from a Democrat to Republican. Because I'm fed up with those Asians, Chinese, who say, vote for me, become Chinese. I think we're part of the community. We should vote for them. And they're not really advocating for the Chinese American. They're advocating for the illegal. They're advocating for someone who want to have abortion. And in our community, we want to care about the safety, the opportunity for our children. And we care about the business opportunity. But that's none of those things are on her agenda. She's using our community and using the name. She's the first Chinese American, congresswoman, and she have all the credits. Now, 10 years ago, I always, I supported her. But there's, I talked to her. I talked to Ed Chow. I said, Ed, you were a great lawyer when you were before you become part of the Judy Chu machine. But now, you and SCA 5 and that law is under your watch, and you do not let the community know, and you actually want to vote for it, and that's hurting the opportunity our kids have. You should stand up. But he was part of the machine. That's the reason, I said I get nothing to lose. I'm not, running, but at the same time, I just could not stand it when she's telling, when it's raining and when she pee on our food and they say it's raining, that is liar. We need to expose her. We need to support someone who really care about community. That's the reason, I have criticizing her for the last 4 years. And she asked a lot of friends to ask me to turn down the tone. I said, Judy, if you had the ball, come to my show, explain to my show why you voted on this one. She never take the offer.
because she could not defend her record.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of votes that she's had that it's been very questionable. Like, like she voted against the Lincoln Riley Act, the one about deporting anybody who's here illegally that has committed a crime.
Yeah.
And I can't understand, like, why would you vote against that?
Yeah.
I mean, that just seems like such a no-brainer.
But 80% and 90% of her constituents are for that. And want to have a safe border, want to have, want to put our children, our safety first. But she should not. I mean, she would not. I mean, that's something that is so frustrating. But this year is so crucial. We can see a lot of people are fed up with that. I mean, that's the reason, the Republican for the last year, I've been urge our people to register a Republican, support all the Republican candidates, not because they're not Chinese, but they truly care about community. I mean, that's something that we should not vote based on the color of the skin. We should vote on the record and the voting record, and we should vote on the merit and who's the best candidate who could help us, because we're facing a lot of challenge. We're facing challenge that it could be a third World War III. It could be a challenge. And it's a big challenge right now. Our economic is going downhill, and our people, 60% of people are living on the credit card, and 13% of the credit card holder could not even pay their minimum payment. We've got 25% of the interest rate. Look at 60% of living on the credit card.
Yes.
That's not acceptable. While our illegal immigrants.
More interesting is to look and see what debt is that credit card. Because it's not always luxury items. It's basics. It's gas, so that they can get to work, so that they can make money, but then still not have enough money because gas, food, milk, eggs, so expensive. Yes. Every little law that we pass that affects the costs adds up. And it's $1 here and $1 there. And then all of a sudden, you're looking at hundreds of dollars. And for some people, that's the difference between being able to afford the gas to get to work and afford, lunch for that day.
Yep. I think, a lot of people, they want support Trump to get back to the White House. But at the same time, even if Trump get back to White House, he cannot do it alone. He need to, the budget, the law are controlled by both the Congress and also Senate. I mean, that's so important that, we need to support Republican to take control of the Senate, at the same time, preserve the majority in Congress. Judy Chu had not been.
Yeah, and I tell people who are, you have the Republican split that, they don't like Trump, they can't stand him. It's more important than ever to vote for a representative that understands that Congress holds the power to pass laws. So let Congress do its job and make sure you're putting in the people who are going to take back that power and make sure laws are issued out of Congress, and that it's not left up to a president to issue what keeps happening. These executive orders that are camouflaged, they're really laws because Congress isn't acting. Congress isn't doing its job. And I keep telling people, Congress takes an oath of office not to defend the United States president, but to defend the U.S. Constitution. That's right. That's what we need, are more people in Congress who are going to defend the Constitution and what it stands for.
Yeah. Now, I know that, 28th district is very diverse. And what kind of things that you would make sure that, all ethnic groups are being respected and their voices are heard if you get elected as a congresswoman?
Yes. I mean, it's obviously, I'm number one issue is going to be immigration law. I mean, we need to improve our immigration law and addressing the issue of an open border. And we need to make sure that we are funding our border security, that that we have the tools and resources in place to close that border. And this isn't about keeping people that are hardworking, people that want to come here, because we all know America's backbone is immigration, right? Everybody's from somewhere in their family has immigrated here. My grandfather immigrated here from Italy. He went through Ellis Island in 1906.
Yes.
We are an immigrant family, and you come from an immigrant, right? Immigrated here to the United States.
Yep.
And we want to make sure that we are properly vetting people who are coming into the United States, not because we want to keep out hard workers, but because we've got to keep out the bad actors. And that's how we get border security and national security.
As first generation of immigrant, I remember in 1987, when I got here, I studied hard. I came in as a foreign student. I worked hard. I want to pay my due. Luckily, I was able to get my green card and later on become citizens. I was very lucky to have the immigration policy that helped my family to come over here. But during this process, my family wait for a long time to come. They're patiently, they're getting the background check. They're getting all I had to sponsor them, make sure they would not become properly charged. But now, in our 28th district, they have huge people, American citizens who are trying to get their family over here. We have a lot of students who are graduate from Caltech. They are the future of the country. They have a hard time in getting a green card because all the green card, the H-1B, the quota have been taking. And while we encourage so many illegal coming over here, while we are waiting in line, someone cut in front of the line and do not do any background check, and we encourage them. That's not fair. Many of the immigrants, we pay our due. We know the system. We respect the system. We want to make sure we don't, get into trouble with the law, because any conviction will affect their green card. And so we have been a law-abiding citizen, and the system is designed this way to award people who follow the law, who respect the law. But now we're rewarding people who break in the immigration law. That's not fair. April, when you become a congresswoman, I want to make sure you want to protect the legal immigrant, but not the illegals.
Yes. And the hard part is that when you start to become lax with your laws, especially about immigration laws, it only encourages and incentivizes more bad actors, right? I mean, it's what I see is, people are abusing the system, and they know, to me, it's a lot of those criminal elements are going to use people to, get things across the border. They're trafficking young kids. They're trafficking women. And, these kinds of, it's because we have a very weak border. And to me, it just incentivizes the continuation of those bad actors. So we want to make sure if we have a strong border, it's actually going to make it safer for immigrants who do want to come here. And we should be providing that ability. I want everybody to be able to pursue the American dream, but I want it done, in a systematic way that is safe for both the United States and for the immigrant.
Yes. Well, I think one of the things, especially for the next generations, I was very fortunate. I came over here in 1987 and during the 90s, and we have a very good policy to encourage people to contribute. And then if you work hard, you will get your American dream. I worked 10 years. I got my green card. I got my citizens. I got my house. I got my kids here. We have a chance to fulfill my American dream, realize it. But I'm concerned about our next generation, our children's. They might not have a chance to enjoy the opportunity that we're enjoying. Look at it. There's so many college students who get out, they cannot find a job. And even if their job, they could not afford to pay their house. That's the concern. I want April to be able to change that and preserve the tradition that, if you work hard,
you could get your first home, you could raise your kids. Those are kind of American dream. I'm a beneficiary of the old system that was 20, 30 years ago. I came over here, a starving students, doesn't have anybody. I worked my way up. I was able to fulfill my American dream. And I think what we really need is somebody, like April, who willing to, not just because want to make the money and become rich in Sacramento, but really want to represent us, hear us. And do you have any last word to say to our viewer?
Well, no, just thank you so much, Daniel, to have this opportunity. I really do appreciate it. You obviously are very well versed in what is happening in Washington and in Sacramento. I've got to tell you, our San Gabriel Valley is so lucky to have somebody like you who is willing to speak up and speak out. I know it takes courage because there is a very strong political machine that does not want anybody to question them, to challenge them, or to hold them accountable for what has happened in California in the San Gabriel Valley. So I commend you. I applaud you. Thank you so much for all the work that you're doing.
Now, April,
tremendous.
The fight, you're not alone in this fight. Look at all the people that, who are aligned with you. David Liu, who's willing to come out and then challenge. Yeah. And then Philip Chen, who's fighting very hard in Sacramento for us as a Republican. Vince Fong, it's just like you. And he's running so that, he is a truly hero and he will help the whole community, not just the Asians. And look at, Ethan Hodgman, another lawyer. He's willing to roll up his sleeve and then fight George Gascon. Look at Elizabeth. She's willing to sacrifice. And look at Eric Chin, the same thing, a very successful businessman. He rolled up his sleeve and he run, because he wants to make sure our voices are heard. And look at Alex in Glendale and Scott Bao, another lawyer, and Mike Garcia, and all these Republican friends. We're part of the movement. We're part of the one who make the change. I mean, you make a lot of sacrifices. So that's the reason the least thing we could do is to vote for you and make sure, the best candidate could represent us. Thank you. And also, if anyone who want to, I have set up this website. It's called Chinese Republican Information. So this website, how to register, and at the same time, and I link April's website on my website, so you could pause the video, scan the QR code on the screen, and you were able to, link and check out April. April, thanks a lot for your time, and good luck with the campaign. And please, let's, when you receive a ballot, 28th district, when you're seeing that, the people, when you see 28th district candidate, vote April.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.